Rugby Championship, folks, the final round. Top 5 players of the week. Who were the best players in the round? The Bledisloe game, All Blacks, Wallabies, and Pumas taking on the Springboks as well. There were certainly some good performances all round. Even the Wallabies, despite the fact that they got kind of pumped on the scoreboard, had some standouts. But yeah, we'll go through 5, and you guys can let us know your thoughts on the 5 as to whether they match up or are different from the ones you guys would have had. Also, written up a piece for this one over at Planet Rugby, so link down in the description to Planet Rugby. There's heaps of good rugby articles over there as well for your viewing pleasure. No particular order, but I am going to start with, admittedly, perhaps my favourite performance of the week in old Scotty Barrett. My ribs can still feel some kind of like shadow pain on behalf of, or like in empathy with Tate McDermott, who got absolutely smashed by Scott Barrett. That doesn't count as a try assist, but it directly leads to a try for the All Blacks. Scott Barrett just lined Tate McDermott up and smashed him into next week. Tate steals the ball. Shannon Frizzell able to pounce on it and score a try because it was 5 meters out from the Wallabies line. What a hit. One of the hits of the year. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable hit. Like, God, he lined him up so well. One of the best moments of the game. I mean, I'm happy Tate McDermott, seeing as the Wallabies did suffer some other injuries, was able to get up and he took the hit well and was able to, play the majority of the game. But, geez, that was a hit. And directly led to 5 points for the All Blacks. So that was kind of the benchmark that Scotty Barrett set down. And he was like that for the whole game. He finished with 11 tackles throughout the entire shift. Didn't miss a single one. He finished with 3 turnovers won. He was the top guy this week in the entire round for winning turnovers. And he's a lock who gets 42 run meters, which is insane. I have been a little bit critical of Scott Barrett in the past, saying, look, he plays 6 sometimes, but he's not as an effective 6 because he's not a great ball carrier. And that's based on the fact that usually he gets kind of normal lock numbers. He gets 1 run and goes about 2 meters on average. But this time he gets 42 meters, which is just insane. So maybe he can play 6. Maybe the All Blacks, seeing him perform that well, will bring Whitelock in, play him alongside Retallick and shift Scotty Barrett to 6. It would not surprise me. I hope they keep him at lock. The way he's been playing, I think he's deserved to kind of keep a hold of that spot. But it wouldn't surprise me. But geez, he did well. Busting tackles. 3 tackles he busted along that way. Getting those run meters. One of the top tacklers. One of the top guys for turnovers. The top guy for turnovers. Even won a few line-out balls. Couple of line-outs he wins. Including the one which leads to the maul, which goes to Cody Taylor's try. He was just everywhere. So Scotty Barrett. What a performance from him for the All Blacks this week. Another lock I have gone with is old Ebenezer, and he likewise was in a bit of a aggressive mood with his ball carrying. Now, he didn't have as many chances to carry as Scotty Barrett, and that goes down to the fact that the Pumas hogged the ball. The Wallabies, the Springboks guys didn't have that many chances to, to kind of go through a bunch of phases, to dominate possession for kind of like 20 minutes, especially in that second half. The Pumas just had the ball for ages. But when they did get it, especially in that first half, big Eben out on the wing. And like, as sorry as I feel for Tate McDermott, you've also got to feel a little bit for Santiago Carreras. I don't know how many kilos he is lighter than Eben Etzebeth, but it's a lot. And Eben Etzebeth just absolutely steamrolled him. He steamrolled him for that try. Carreras has to go off for an HIA. That's how big the collision was between those two guys. So Carreras put his body on the line, but there was no stopping Big Eben from close range. So he gets a try. And he also finishes one of the Springboks' best defenders, man. He makes 16 from 16 tackles. He clocks through 20-odd run meters. He wins a few lineouts. He doesn't miss any of his tackles. Yeah, man. So between Scott Barrett and Eben Etzebeth right now, you have certainly 2 of the best locks in world rugby. Both these guys just carried devastating well and did their core role on top of that as well. So, yeah, looking forward to them both carrying that form through to the World Cup. Another forward, and it's a Wallaby this time, and old Angus Bell. Forgive me, but I am picking a bunch of guys who just ball carried for days, and Angus Bell absolutely did that. Now, Angus Bell's role with the Wallabies may become significantly more important with the Alan Alatoa injury. I haven't seen the latest update. I did see Eddie's press conference after the game, and he seemed to indicate that it was a pretty serious one. So one could assume that Ala Alatoa's World Cup likely has gone away from him. If that is the case, I mean, Eddie's got options at tight head, but one of those options is to shift James Slipper across, as the Wallabies did at the end of last year and in this game as well at the weekend. If that happens, then Angus Bell's role as the starting loose head, instead of having to compete with Slipper, pretty much becomes a sure thing, I would say. So his role with the Wallabies is going to be vitally important. And he can certainly add another dimension to the Wallabies game, as we saw at the weekend. Like, alongside Tupou, if Tupou's fit, you could have two of the better ball-carrying, props in World Rugby. Like, his stats are just incredible. He beats 5 tacklers in this game, which is more than any forward this week. Like, generally, it's your loosies. It's the likes of an Adi Savia who busts the most tackles. But in this case, it's the Wallabies' loose head prop, despite the fact that, again, they were starved of possession. He also gets more than 50 run meters, which is more than any Wallabies forward managed this week, in a team which includes Rob Ballatini, who's a pretty useful ball carrier himself. So the fact that your loose head prop is doing that kind of thing, speaks volumes to how he can contribute to the side. I mean, he also made 16 from 16 tackles, which is just quietly a pretty impressive shift as well. The Aussie scrum was under the pump. I went back and had a look at a few of the scrums. They concede a penalty where Ala Alatoa gets injured. You'd have to think part of that is him, his body kind of giving way. They give away one, I think, when Tupou's not 100%. They give away one when Slipper has gone to tight head. So how much of that you give on Angus Bell, I think you have to kind of balance it out with the situation that the Aussie front row was in. But either way, Angus Bell put in a pretty massive shift. And as I said, his importance to the Wallabies, I think, just took... his stocks just rose, didn't they? Because he's going to be even more important than he was. Another player who was pretty important, and it is another forward. Goodness gracious me, we're going with the forwards this week. Pablo Matera. Now, Pablo's performance is... how do you put it? For the Pumas, he was one of their top guys in multiple categories, which I think, personally, highlights just how important he can be. Like, I mean, Lavanini was big as well. Montoya was big. Santiago Carreras was big. Like, some of the guys who've been kind of the mainstays of this Pumas outfit as well. But Matera, even though he's not captain anymore, was kind of like Montoya, trying his best to lead from the front. He carried wave after wave. I think he finishes with 12 carries in the game, which is the second most of any Pumas player in the game and second most of any player in that game. Like, the Pumas... I mean, I think they got like 6 clean breaks, but they didn't get any kind of like 100-meter runs, where they ran it under their own 22. They had one where they kicked it, like the last try. Some of those meters they got forward were from the boot. But yeah, they didn't get that really many kind of big open runs against the Springbok defense. So a lot of it was that kind of wave after wave, and 12 carries, just behind Lavanini in terms of his carries. Highlights what Matera was doing. He breaks a couple of tackles there as well, which was also a pretty hard thing to come by. And he's the only Argentinian player who got into double figures for his tackling stats. Work rate is just amazing. Like, he loves a carry, but equally he loves to tackle. Like, sometimes you get guys who are good at one but not the other. Matera, he just loves being involved. What can you say? I think he makes 10 from 12. So, huge shift from him. I mean, the Pumas had that much ball. They weren't called upon to make that many tackles, but he still gets double figures. And he even won the most lineouts of the game with 4. Recently, that's been Gonzalez doing that role for the Pumas, but this week it was Matera. He gets his hand on the ball. I think he had like 7 passes, including one really wide one. So, yeah, man, like Pablo Matera, equally like Etzebeth, like Bell, and like Barrett, like in terms of his importance to his team going into World Cup, I think he's one of their key guys. He's one of the guys that you would genuinely not like to see get injured. The Pumas have got lots of good loosies, but Matera, I think, does offer something just that little bit different from the others. And speaking of guys who offer something a little bit different, I have to get one of the backs on here, and I have gone with Will Jordan. He is just slippery as an eel, but he can also kind of stop on a dime and change direction. He's a really, really, really hard player to stop getting involved. His try-scoring record for the All Blacks is genuinely quite incredible. We have seen a few All Blacks outside backs kind of trail off as they get a wee bit older. Some of them go overseas, some of them lose a yard of pace, some of them get replaced by the next generation of talent. But right now, Will Jordan's try-scoring run goes on. He gets one in this game, which he made look really simple, where he steps inside from that Moonga pop pass and just basically bamboozles the Wallabies defence. He's done that to multiple teams. He's done it in Super Rugby as well. He's a really, really hard guy to stop. And he didn't look flustered at all. He didn't look like he cared. It was just another try for him. He, if anything, looked slightly more excited with the try that he was able to set up. Again, it's his footwork that helps get, like he beats Corabetti and he's able to get Callaway to bite off his wing and then opens up the space for Talea to go over. Whether he's doing it himself or setting somebody else up, he's a very hard man to keep quiet. Like, you know what he's going to do, but stopping him do it is just, I don't know. It's very, very difficult. What can you say? The best players are like that. 11 from 11 tackles, huge involvement, 11 passes, wins a turnover. He was just involved in a lot of the good play that the All Blacks were doing. And if he's on the wing for the All Blacks or at fullback or wherever they play him, it's mostly on the wing. You feel like the All Blacks are looking a more dangerous team whenever he's in the lineup. So there you go, folks. Got a player from each team in that wasn't by design. That's just genuinely, I think, the guys who made some of the biggest contributions to their games, be it in winning or losing efforts. But yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts. Feel free to give us your 5 on who you would be picking if you were picking 5 guys for the week. And also remember the Planet Rugby article down in the description. But yeah, you guys take care, and I'll talk to you guys again soon.